A big reinforcement is on the way ahead of the Ravens AFC Championship showdown with the Kansas City Chiefs. That guy, tight end Mark Andrews, has been activated off injured reserve after 5 straight practices as a full participant. Welcome into Sports Unlimited, where Lamar Jackson gets his favorite target back ahead of the team's biggest game of the season. Andrews' return is huge for the Ravens. That offense that has been firing on all cylinders, and having him and Isaiah Likely both healthy and available, that could present problems for the Kansas City defense.
Yeah, you look at great players and how they can hurt a defense. It's 2 great players. If we're on the same side or if we're on different sides, it's something you got to pay attention to. You got to give him his respect. You got to give me my respect. So, yeah, it's tough for a defense.
I believe we're just gonna keep doing what we've been doing. Just dishing out the ball to all our guys. Not just one person. Mark is definitely gonna help us through this process. He's one of the ones. But we're gonna keep dishing the ball out like we've been doing.
No injury designation for Andrews on Friday's injury report, while Marlon Humphrey logged his first full practice since his return from that calf injury. Humphrey is being listed as questionable for this one. For the Chiefs, All-Pro left guard Joe Thuney and defensive tackle Derek Nottie have been ruled out for the AFC Championship game, while running back Isaiah Pacheco, linebacker Willie Gay, and wide receiver Kadarius Toney are all being listed as questionable.
Rocco, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6 o'clock, breaking news out of Prince George's County. A Baltimore woman, according to police, goes on a crime spree and stabs a teenage girl. And a new push to boost police recruitment in Baltimore, why some say the proposed changes could do more harm than good.
We're following some breaking news tonight out of Prince George's County. A Baltimore woman is arrested after an alleged crime spree, hitting multiple people with her car and allegedly stabbing a teenage girl. Some are pushing for police to change eligibility requirements to help boost recruitment, while law enforcement experts say it could be a slippery slope. As crime soars throughout the state, hear what lawmakers say they're trying to do to address it.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
We're following some breaking news tonight out of Prince George's County. Police there arrest a Baltimore woman who allegedly hit 4 people with her car and stabbed 2 others, one of them a 15-year-old girl. Police say 31-year-old Tanae Stallings Brown from Baltimore went on a crime spree in Prince George's County last night. It started around 5 o'clock when police say she hit a woman on the sidewalk with her car. Around 10 minutes later, they accuse her of hitting 2 others with her car, then say she got out of the car and stabbed a 15-year-old girl. A little before 5:30, police say the suspect hit 2 more people, 2 men, with her car. An hour later, they say she stabbed another man at a gas station. All of the victims have survived. The 2 stabbing victims, including that teenage girl, are listed in critical condition. Prince George's County Police tracked the suspect's car to Baltimore City, where they arrested her and took her back to Prince George's County. The PG County Police Chief says he's never seen anything like it.
In my more than 3 decades of policing, almost 3.5, I've rarely seen a suspect this determined across this length to inflict harm on innocent people. It's deeply disturbing. I do hope the community takes comfort in knowing that she is now in our custody.
Well, police say this suspect has a lengthy criminal history in Baltimore City dating back to 2011. That includes domestic violence and weapons charges. She's now facing dozens of charges, including attempted murder. Mackenzie.
Okay, thanks. Also breaking, a jury has decided Donald Trump must pay an additional $83 million to columnist E. Jean Carroll, who says the former president damaged her reputation by calling her a liar after she accused him of sexual assault. Today's verdict is the second time in 9 months a jury addressed Carroll's claims that Trump assaulted her in a New York department store in 1996. In May, another jury found Trump liable for sexual abuse and ordered him to pay $5 million. Trump is appealing that award. New efforts to evaluate and change eligibility requirements for police officers across the state and in Baltimore City. Fox 45's Jessica Babb has more on why some say it's necessary and others think it could be a problem.
Some say changing the police eligibility requirements would make sure good candidates aren't excluded and could make sure there's more diversity in police departments to better serve communities. But some law enforcement experts say changing requirements could be a slippery slope.
We don't have enough officers.
A crime-fighting crisis in Baltimore City and across the state.
We have a crisis-level shortage in police officers.
The Baltimore Police Department is currently operating with a staff deficit of approximately 500 to 700 officers.
The solution? There's legislation on the table in Annapolis, which would remove the citizenship requirement for some applicants with military service.
It would allow legal permanent residents who have fought for our nation, who have been in the military and been honorably discharged, it would allow them to apply to become police officers.
Something Senator Kagan says several states already allow.
If they are willing to serve our communities and put their lives on the line again, keeping our neighborhoods safe, we should welcome them.
And mayoral candidate Sheila Dixon's public safety plan with a focus on recruitment and retention.
We got to get creative in that.
She wants to evaluate eligibility requirements for police officers. She says she will evaluate requirements around spelling tests and written exams, a candidate's past and present affiliations, adjusting how crimes committed as a juvenile are viewed, financial history, and adapting the physical fitness standards to allow for improvement in the academy.
I think any effort to try to fill open police positions by reducing minimum professional standards for applicants or for candidates for law enforcement positions is a bad idea.
But if you don't have police officers who didn't do well when it comes to writing tests and things like that, that's going to be a real problem. They're talking about looking at an applicant's past and present affiliations. Now, what does that mean? Were you a street gang member when you were young? Were you part of a white supremacy group when you were young? That is, I believe, very much a slippery slope.
And it's not the first time changing police eligibility requirements has been discussed. Previously, there were calls to eliminate hiring practices that disqualify police applicants for past use of marijuana.
Something that they did as a teenager, as a college student, can permanently disqualify them from being a police officer. It is a death sentence right now to some of our applicants.
Law enforcement experts say a better way to address the shortage is to better support law enforcement.
Especially in an era when there's much more focus on police accountability and professional standards generally. It seems to run counter to that.
The legislature and also city government needs to look at is why do we have a police shortage?
I did reach out to Mayor Brandon Scott's office to see if he thinks police eligibility requirements should be changed to address the staffing issue. So far, I haven't heard back. Jessica Babb, Fox 45 News.
As police struggle to recruit new officers, a troubling Baltimore City crime trend is continuing into the new year. New data from BPD shows car thefts are still skyrocketing across the city. 441 cars have been stolen in the first 20 days of 2024. That averages out to 22 cars a day. It's also a 77% increase from last year's record highs when the city surpassed 11,000 cars stolen. City leaders and local law enforcement say new juvenile justice reform laws are partially to blame. The new laws prevent kids under the age of 13 from being charged with nonviolent misdemeanor offenses, but law enforcement expert Tyrone Power says that does not mean police should stop making those arrests.
It's not enough of an announcement of this is what we're going to do in an aggressive way. We have to make it abundantly clear that we are going to stop this behavior. If the courts and the laws let you back out the next day, then we're going to arrest you tomorrow night if you do it again.
Soaring car thefts affect everyone in the city, not just car theft victims. That's because insurance rates citywide will likely continue to rise. And with the spotlight on juvenile crime, lawmakers say they do plan to make some changes. Today, we pressed Senate President Bill Ferguson on the status of juvenile crime and other violent crime proposals. Juvenile crime remains central to the conversation in Annapolis. And now...
All right. Good morning, everyone.
Senate President Bill Ferguson says next week there will be a juvenile crime legislative package.
It's a lot of what we've been talking about, focusing on the intake and accountability on the intake, looking at the process overall to make sure that the services are actually being delivered.
The intake process within the Department of Juvenile Services is at the center of this debate to ensure that kids who should be held are and they face appropriate consequences.
We will and need to pass this legislation. It all comes down to execution on an everyday basis.
Have you had conversations with DJS Secretary Schiraldi about what's to come, and is he aware of these, expectations that are about to be laid out?
We've had conversations, a number of conversations with the department on specific issues here, but I would say this is really a legislative package.
The Senate President says there should be no surprises to the administration and agencies for what's to come. Meanwhile, the push for the Violent Firearms Offender Act continues.
And so what I'm presenting is a bill from my community.
Democratic Senator Ronald Watson backing the bill, calling for stiffer penalties for criminals using illegal guns in their crimes, raising the maximum penalty from 3 years to 5 and the fine from $2,500 to $10,000.
And I'm asking for your support in getting this bill passed because we need it. It makes a statement.
Republican Senator William Folden backing the GOP's version.
The biggest part of this bill is simply put, it repeals the unconscionable drug dealer loophole.
The Violent Firearms Offender Act has been introduced in Annapolis since 2020, passing the Senate in that year and 2021, but stalling in committee in 2022 and 2023. Now it's back, but so far it's not clear if Democrats in control will move forward with the plan. Conversations are also happening surrounding where to make more investments in public safety when it comes to the budget. Governor Wes Moore's $63 billion budget proposal calls for cuts to parole and probation. Are you concerned about that and the impact that could have on public safety as a whole?
Look, parole and probation obviously has had a number of vacancies. And so I think there is a very honest question that has to happen, and not just parole and probation, but across the board, where there have been multiple years of 14, 15% vacancy rates. If you reduce the number of vacancies, that's going to lead to what appears to be a cut because it's less positions filled. What I would like to see is that the positions that are vacant get filled.
Senator Ferguson says reducing the number of positions that have gone unfilled could mean higher salaries for those on the job already. Lawmakers have yet to finalize the budget, so right now, anything could change. I'll be in Annapolis following every step of this year's legislative session over the next 2 months. Be sure to keep up with our coverage on air and online at foxbaltimore.com. Excitement is brewing ahead of Sunday's AFC Championship, and fans are already gearing up for Sunday's matchup. They're flocking to M&T Bank Stadium, checking out the official pop-up shop for some game day apparel. Fans tell us they plan to watch at home, local bars, watch parties, and of course, at the bank. Official tickets are sold out, but they're still popping up and are up for grabs on third-party sites like SeatGeek, but for a pretty penny, of course. And if you are going to the game, you might be wondering, what will the weather look like? Well, meteorologist Wyatt Everhart has your game day forecast. Wyatt, today was beautiful. It was very warm outside. Will that stick around for Sunday?
Yeah, almost unbelievably warm, right, Mackenzie? Unfortunately, no. This is not going to hold. This is going to feel a lot more like January football by the time we get to Sunday. In the meantime, though, just to marvel at some of those high temperatures that were record-shattering in D.C., for example, where they were over 80 degrees that way. Here, 79 in Baltimore, very impressive as well. Temperatures now in the 60s to near 70 and down in southern Maryland, and the numbers will slowly fall off through the night tonight. All eyes to our south. This is our next weather maker. Rain system developing here on the Gulf Coast. It's going to bring a lot of wet weather into Maryland beginning tomorrow night and into Sunday morning, and I think the showers on the back edge of it will still impact the game, but at least the heaviest steady rain should be clear by game time. For tonight, dry, clear, and cooler. We'll talk about that setup in detail for the game and beyond coming up.
A top Democrat going after a popular nicotine product. I'm Janae Bowens in Washington with a look at how this could hurt their chances with Gen Z voters.
Alabama's Attorney General says last night's first-of-its-kind execution by nitrogen gas went exactly as planned, despite the death row inmate shaking and convulsing on the gurney for at least 2 minutes.
But we believe that not only was this constitutionally carried out, but entirely consistent with how it was planned from the beginning.
58-year-old Kenneth Smith was paid $1,000 to kill an Alabama woman more than 3 decades ago. He was pronounced dead at 8:25 p.m. after breathing nitrogen gas through a face mask. Attorney General Steve Marshall says the execution not only brought justice to the victim's family, but set the stage for other states to use the same method. The European Union and United Nations Human Rights Office have condemned the punishment, arguing it violates the right to life and does not deter crime. Top Democrats are looking to crack down on Zyn, smoke-free nicotine pouches. They claim Zyn targets and harms kids, but the move could negatively impact their efforts to get much-needed Gen Z votes. Sinclair National Correspondent Janae Bowens explains the political backlash.
These brightly packed Zyn nicotine pouches are the newest players in the culture war.
Pouch packed with problems.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the smoke and tobacco-free Zyn that comes in a variety of flavors are harming kids.
So today I'm delivering a warning to parents because these nicotine pouches seem to lock their sights on young kids, teenagers, and even lower, and then use the social media to hook them.
Now he's calling on the federal government to investigate.
First, the DC libs came for our guns. Now, they're coming for our Zyns. Enough is enough.
Conservatives using the Top Democrats' crusade as a rallying cry for what Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene calls a Zynsurrection, adding the focus needs to be on deadly fentanyl instead.
I'm going to err on the side of more freedom and personal choices.
The backlash bipartisan.
I think there's bigger issues to address than that product.
The company behind Zyn, Philip Morris International, is also firing back. They say it's only marketed to smokers and nicotine users 21 and older.
These products are really highly regulated. The product has been on the market for more than 10 years.
But a political concern for Democrats is that Schumer seems to be trying to take down a product loved by many Gen Zers, a key Democratic voting bloc.
I feel like there are more important things for this man to worry about than our nicotine usage. Like what?
Now, Mackenzie, most concerning for Democrats are that polls show younger voters are growing discontent with President Joe Biden and lacking enthusiasm about his re-election bid. Now, this is a problem for Democrats who benefited from a record turnout of younger voters back in 2020. For now, the White House staying quiet on the Zyn controversy.
All right, Janae, so is this product dangerous?
Well, Zyn is very clear that the product contains nicotine, which of course is addictive. But if you look on their website, they reiterate the product is only for adult nicotine users 21 and up, and say if you do not currently use nicotine, Zyn is not for you. Now, a company spokesperson added products like these can help smokers stop using cigarettes and vape pens that both have serious health risks. Now, they say folks trying to kick that bad habit need to be remembered in these product debates. Mackenzie?
Sinclair correspondent Janae Bowens, thanks so much.
Weather-wise, interesting setup we've got going here. Warm day, quiet night, just a few clouds coming through. Colder air rolling in tonight into the morning, but all eyes on our next weather maker. This storm system down here along the Gulf Coast. Now, kind of a double-barreled low. This is going to bring a couple of waves of rain into Maryland and the Mid-Atlantic, primarily tomorrow night into early Sunday. That early morning tailgate could be real wet here at M&T Bank Stadium on Sunday, but by the afternoon, we do expect the system to taper to just showers, at least, not a steady rain by afternoon. 60 right now, BWI. That's down. We were at 79 at one point earlier today. I mean, just unbelievable warmth all over central Maryland. A little fog northeast, but points south and west and around D.C. hitting 80 degrees earlier today. That was mighty warm for late January. Those winds starting to shift west now, bringing in the cooler air. Tonight will fall from the 50s to the 40s. And then a fairly cool day around here on Saturday. So that warmth is receding. Clouds increasing through the day Saturday as well. And then the rain. It comes in Saturday night, and it stays with us into Sunday morning, even in the form of showers in the Sunday afternoon. So we're going to keep showers in the forecast for the game itself. Hopefully the steadiest rain should be clear by kickoff, though. And those temperatures are going to be on the raw side in the mid to low 40s. So you want to layer up, make sure you've got that rain protection on as you head out to the big game. Otherwise, you can tell it's a quiet scenario, at least tonight into the first part of the weekend. But the very warm air is being pushed offshore as we speak. And yes, that rain system down along the Gulf continuing to get its act together. Here it is for you on Future Scan. Stop it right here. This is 4 o'clock Saturday. Showers beginning to edge in, then heavier soaking rains Sunday night. We clear things out, though, at least taper it to showers, though, although it'll be chilly on Sunday afternoon. There we go, from the 40s back into the low 50s by the end of next week. But again, big changes from the very warm air we had around today.
I'm Neil Gaskins in Washington. Coming up, President Biden taking heat from his own party for a top issue heading into the 2024 election cycle. The battle over the southern border heating up in Washington. Here's Sinclair National Correspondent Kayla Gaskins.
Governor Greg Abbott standing firm in his fight to curb the record-breaking number of illegal migrants crossing into his state from Mexico.
We are going to make it impossible to enter Texas illegally.
Ordering the installation of more razor wire this week after the Supreme Court sided with the White House, ordering Texas to take it down.
GOP governors from 25 states siding with Texas in this tug of war with the federal government, arguing Texas has a constitutional right to defend itself.
In accordance with this comes as a bipartisan Senate deal to fund the border and Ukraine is on the verge of collapse. Republicans taking issue with tying the two priorities together, also arguing the bill doesn't do enough to secure the border.
Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, which is exactly what will happen. And we'll get nothing.
West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin calling on President Biden to take responsibility for the mess as well.
And the president has to take blame for it, too, to allow it to get to this proportion. It's time for the president to declare a national emergency at the border and secure this border once and for all.
Manchin isn't alone. Democrats are increasingly slamming the president and the White House over the issue.
To the president's best interest politically to come up with a solution on border security.
New polling from Harvard-Harris shows immigration is currently voters' #1 concern.
I think the Democrats are seeing the same polls that we're seeing, that this is top of mind for voters. I mean, they've got, concerns.
Senator John Tester, a Democrat vying to hold on to his seat in conservative Montana, publishing an op-ed on the border crisis, writing, "My message to the president and my colleagues in Congress